Talk Business Arkansas is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau, the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas, the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, Noble Strategies, the Arkansas Healthcare Association, and Delta Trust and Bank.
I'm Roby Brock with your Talk Business Arkansas update. We begin with our top business headlines. Walmart stores said it incurred $157 million in expenses during fiscal 2013 relating to the ongoing investigations linked to alleged violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act in several of its international markets. The retailer expects those costs will escalate as the investigation is expanded from Mexico and now includes probes in Brazil, India, and China. If all goes according to plan, the U.S. Marshals Museum in Fort Smith may break ground on its riverfront location in downtown Fort Smith on September 24, 2014, the 225th anniversary of the Marshal Service. Museum President and CEO Jim Dunn told the museum's executive committee on Wednesday that the groundbreaking would be part of a larger year-long celebration of the Marshal Service's anniversary. The Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas are throwing their weight behind the private option plan to move Medicaid expansion dollars into a legislative plan that would subsidize health insurance for low-income workers in a forthcoming insurance exchange. The State Chamber and AIA are among the most influential business lobbying groups at the state capitol and represent major employers as well as mid-size and small businesses across Arkansas. You can keep up with all of these stories and more on our website at talkbusinessarkansas.com. Now, after this break, politics from the Capitol today beyond just the State Chamber's announcement. Plus, I'll sit down with Mike Malone, CEO of the Northwest Arkansas Council, when we come back.
I don't think it's going to be an easy conversation because they are very strong-willed. I think it's going to be important to us that we know that you're somewhere in a facility that looks after you, has compassion, has care, and you respect it. I mean, I'd love to look after them, I'd love to be able to take care of them, but I don't think I could. That'd be a wrong choice on my part.
Arkansas's skilled nursing and assisted living centers provide quality care for our seniors.
Farm Bureau helps protect its members in more ways than you might think. They've always been the voice of agriculture in Arkansas, working on behalf of folks like me when nobody else would. And Farm Bureau stands for the values that Arkansas families care about. They've protected my right to farm and make a living, which helps everybody who likes food on the table. You know what they say, Arkansas counts on agriculture, and agriculture counts on Farm Bureau.
The Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas. The State Chamber AIA is the leading voice for business at the state capitol and serves as the primary business advocate on all issues affecting Arkansas employers. Our mission is to promote a pro-business, free enterprise agenda and prevent anti-business legislation, regulations, and rules. Now more than ever, business matters. Learn more at arkansasstatechamber.com.
Let's turn our attention to politics from the Capitol today. A day after the Arkansas Senate overrode Governor Mike Beebe's veto of Senate Bill 2, a bill that requires a photo ID to vote, the House declined to follow suit. Known as the Voter ID Bill, Beebe vetoed the measure earlier this week, saying it was an expensive solution in search of a problem. The House could try to overturn the veto next week. New numbers released from the Department of Human Services indicate the private insurance option being considered by lawmakers could save the state $670 million over the next decade. On Wednesday, DHS released actuarial figures that show the private option would save that amount of money from fiscal year 2014 through fiscal year 2023. For the first 3 years, the federal government would pay a 100% commitment to fund Medicaid expansion, which Arkansas lawmakers have received permission to shift into subsidized health insurance plans for low-income workers in that insurance exchange that's going to be set up. And you can look for action next week on this Medicaid expansion / private health insurance option, as well as tax cuts and the Big River Steel super project. When we come back from this final commercial break, we'll sit down with Mike Malone. He's CEO of the Northwest Arkansas Council. I'm Roby Brock. More after the break.
Noble Strategies is a bipartisan state and federal government affairs firm with a successful track record of providing effective advocacy for business, government, and nonprofit entities. Noble Strategies provides service in areas such as lobbying, public affairs, trade association management, and marketing campaigns. Learn more at noblestrat.com.
I was looking for a bank that could best protect my finances.
It shared my passion for my business's potential.
A bank that offered investment expertise,
lending support, insurance guidance.
A bank that delivered full financial support.
That's how I found True Balance.
True Balance.
From my bank.
From my bank.
Delta Trust and Bank, the expertise to meet all your financial needs.
One of the real advantages of electric cooperatives membership is having a voice in our state's energy future.
Not a week goes by without important energy issues making headlines. These are issues that need to be discussed. And you should know that as policies are being developed, the cooperatives are looking out for our members, advocating what's best for you.
We are your friends and neighbors.
We are your local electric company.
The electric cooperatives.
We are Arkansas.
Joining me now is Mike Malone. He's president and CEO of the Northwest Arkansas Council, one of the more influential, if not the most influential business group up in the Northwest corridor of Arkansas. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
What brings you to Little Rock, Arkansas today, the state capital, via the PSC?
Well, there's always business to do in Little Rock, so any excuse is a good one. But today, the SWEPCO and the electric co-ops had a matter before the Public Services Commission. The Flint Creek Power Plant, our only baseload generating power plant, has asked for permission to do a retrofit of their plant to meet EPA standards. And so we're supporting that. It's imperative as a region that's growing as fast as we are, it's imperative to have baseload generating capacity in the region.
Tell me how that factors into economic development and prospects, and where does that fit in when you're at the table negotiating a project or trying to help somebody with an expansion or coming to town? Where does that energy equation fit into the conversation?
Well, even today, our region's importing more than half the power that we consume because we've grown so fast and because we have that really one baseload capacity. So even for existing business and industry, this is a critical issue. If that plant goes away, if it goes dark, we're importing nearly 100% of our power. It's going to have an impact on existing business.
Go ahead. No,
Then, as you certainly said, it's got an impact on how we can recruit and attract industry to the region as well. Without baseload capacity in the region, we're not even going to be in the running for some high-tech projects, data center type projects. That's one of the first questions they ask you before they ever come visit is about your power sources. And if we can't check that box, then we're never even going to get a visit. So.
Do you have plans? Are there plans? Is there conversation to build more baseload in the region?
There are certainly conversations about transmission capacity, and in fact, that's one of the recommendations that very well could come from the PSC. Even if the retrofit of this plant's approved, at the rate at which we're growing, additional transmission or additional capacity is going to be needed, absolutely.
Let's talk about what's so magic about Northwest Arkansas. Everybody looks to Northwest Arkansas. It is really the super engine that's been going on for nearly a decade, if not longer, in Arkansas. It's certainly not the only place where there's economic activity, but it's been good economic activity. What's the secret to the success?
A number of factors. I think it's hard work by thousands of residents and business leaders and community leaders. That may be the secret sauce. I don't know. Good luck, good timing, a lot of things happening in proximity that fed off or led to things that helped one another. A number of different factors. The University of Arkansas is a major land grant and research institution. Being headquartered there is a great base to build on. Walmart, as we all know, Tyson Foods, J.B. Hunt, they all grew on their own, but they also helped each other along the way. So a nice confluence there. But there's an entrepreneurial spirit, and I think we've got that all over Arkansas, a real can-do, hardworking, common sense practicality. And that's really a lot of what's playing out now. We've got these major companies, but now we've got some startups that are starting to really get some traction.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because you guys have been doing some very proactive things and a bit visionary in terms of saying we've got to make some infrastructure investments and we've got to make some just plain and simple money investments to kind of prepare the next generation of companies to support the biggies that are up there, but also grow these smaller ones in support of the big ones. Tell me how that whole philosophy has kind of come together and where it's at right now.
We think that a lot of our future growth is going to be from within. It's great to recruit companies, great to cut a ribbon and celebrate an industry moving to your region, but we really think some of these startups, these innovations that are coming out of university research or out of great ideas that are from folks that are working in and around the retail sector or food processing, that those innovations are really our next growth wave. And so we double down on the startup sector by making sure that we have sources of funding. We're not done. There's still some gaps in the funding continuum, but trying to make sure funding's available for startups and early stage companies, mentorship, workspace, opportunities to sell their products as they develop an idea into a marketable product. We want to help get them connected with potential buyers. And the way we describe it is that we've got this entrepreneurial ecosystem, and we need to make sure that there are no gaps in the ecosystem. We've still got plenty. We still need some more sources of capital and funding, but it is a concentrated effort to build out the ecosystem to support startups.
This plays into a debate that we're seeing up here at the state capitol over the Big River Steel super project, and that is there is some aversion to risk. There are some legislators that say that project, it's not a slam dunk, it's not a grand slam, and they're struggling with that in some respects. You guys have to be struggling with not being risk averse with these small startup companies too. How do you mitigate, I guess, and hedge your bets to know that something might work, something might not work? I mean, are you picking winners and losers?
Well, you've got to take some level of risk, because with no risk, there's no reward. And so we're leaning forward. We're putting potential funders together with projects and seeing if there's a match. Sometimes those projects aren't going to work. And we're doing that in our region, and you got to do that to generate the activity. But for big projects of the scope and the magnitude of Big River Steel, it sure feels to me like that's an opportunity that the state shouldn't pass up. We're only going to get a handful of mega projects that come along, and if there's a good chance it's going to succeed, even a moderate chance it's going to succeed, I certainly want to see our state take that chance. If we don't get in the incentives game, if we don't stay in the incentives game, if we don't invest in an opportunity that comes along like this, it's going to put us at a disadvantage for future projects, or they're not even going to come this direction in the future.
This may be a subject that you're touching on right now, but obviously Big River Steel doesn't seem to directly have any impact on Northwest Arkansas, yet you feel it's critical for the state to do that. Is this a rising tide lifts all boats, or is this a, as you indicated, if we don't do this, we jeopardize potential future projects?
Yeah, absolutely. There are going to be future projects that come along in every region of the state. And so when they come, we need to be ready with incentives or packages equivalent to what's being offered for this one, so that we stay in the game, or else these projects are going to go to neighboring states, other regions, other parts of the country, and around the world. This one's in East Arkansas, but we're all Arkansans, and we're all in this state budget and this state economy together, and so we need to make sure that we're supporting projects all over the state. Absolutely.
All right, he's Mike Malone. He's the president and CEO of the Northwest Arkansas Council. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm Roby Brock. We'll be back next week. You can catch Talk Business this weekend, Sunday night at 10 p.m. on Fox 16.
Talk Business Arkansas is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau, the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas, the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, Noble Strategies, the Arkansas Healthcare Association, and Delta Trust and Bank.